People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in, and good evening, and I hope you're well and safe and things. Um, yeah, man, I can't lie, I'm quite tired from work, people. To give you, it was quite a busy day. I've been up since quarter to five, people. I'm absolutely knackered. Someone somewhere else in the world is always working harder than me, and always has it harder than me. So I won't complain. We don't bend, we don't fold. We keep pushing, as I like to say. But. It's 4 days, or it's the evening now, so you might as well say 3 days before the transfer window, as far as Premier League teams are concerned, is over in terms of incomings. And yeah, man, obviously we might as well speak about a few people we've been linked with. Not even a few. I think we've only really been linked with Upamecano. We can touch on a couple other things and stuff that I've found off the internet relating to us. But before we get into that, you lot know I like a good ramble, so let's go on. Obviously, it's about 3 days before the window shut. Emre's made no secret of wanting a centre half. Obviously, even from January last season, he was screaming he wants a centre half. Obviously, different targets were brought. Maybe agendas changed in regards to who we wanted to get into the club and whatnot. And to a degree, even though us fans and Emery's no idiot, and neither is the club, know we need a centre half. I do think people was put to the back burner a bit, especially when we was linked with Zaha and obviously later Pepe and even Everton, Suarez, and even for a point of left back, the pursuit of Turney. We've been linked with Gamando of Benfica now. Allegedly, they'll deal. The report said they'll deal for 40 million euros. Don't believe that, but you get the point, people. We've been linked with centre halves and whatnot, and it ain't really happened. And obviously, the longer we've left it, the more of an issue it becomes. Coaching is going to be one thing for Emery. He's going to need to coach the players that are good enough in how to keep a clean sheet and the many and several aspects in regards to defending. And you lot know what goes into defending. But I don't think he'll be able to achieve his goals, and coaching only goes a certain way. Coaching is 50%. I believe coaching is very understated than people. Coaching is going to be a big part for Emery, but he's got to have players that can be coached. There are certain centre halves, let me be nice, that are unfortunately uncoachable, and it's actually sad for Mustafi. I feel sad for Mustafi because first and foremost, the man's a human. I don't think he can contribute towards our football club moving forward. But he looks a shadow of his former self. Regardless of what you think about Mustafi and I think about him and the mistakes he makes, he looks like a very vocal and confident lad. And this pre-season he looks shot. I don't like to see anybody like that. He's been linked with moves. Allegedly doesn't want to leave. Maybe that's why he looks a cut figure in things. But it needs to happen. We need a centre half. Emery can't coach anybody that isn't coachable, and he can only coach so much. You've got to have a decent skill set of players that he can work forward with. And for me, we've got to get the back five correct, especially when everyone's fit. Obviously, when everybody's fit, Bellerin will be there, assuming Turney comes in with Love Turney. If not, give or take between Monreal and Kolasinac. Holding, Socrates, ideally another centre half to go with Leno, who was only brought in last season. And to be fair, there's only so much Leno could do. Keepers make the difference in the same way strikers do to a degree with all the saves and that, but he needs a decent sort of army behind him. Obviously, I don't think Leno's necessarily perfect, and he's made mistakes, but more often than not, especially second half of the season, he was just having to do a madness with nothing in front of him, and there's only so much he can do, only so much shots he can't let in. So for me, at some point next season, when everyone's back fit, hopefully we get a centre half. We have a first choice defence to move forward with. Next season looks promising. Saliba, I want to obviously see him under my eye and whatnot. But let's kick off, people. Keeping in track with centre halves. Allegedly, we've had a £55 million bid rejected for Upamecano of Leipzig now. If I was Leipzig, I wouldn't sell him just yet unless they get a ridiculous offer. We know there's something in the water in France for developing players in all positions, much less centre half. There's some monsters. Todibo, Upamecano, Canute, Ndika, Manglasar, who I believe Arsenal should have a look at, man. He could be cheap from Toulouse. You look at Issa Diop, he went for 20 odd million to West Ham. They're all quoting 60 and that now. And Maguire, no disrespect to Maguire, went for 85. So there's nothing, the market's a madness now. It's whatever you can get. Players don't have no values. It's whatever you can hustle people. It's calling everyone's bluff. No disrespect to Ake. I like Ake. I'll take him at Arsenal. But 75 million Leicester being quoted. It's a madness, people. Obviously, football figures have been mad, but now it's getting ridiculous. And I won't say we're close to the bubble popping, and I don't know how or if a bubble will pop, but surely something's got to happen, people. It's getting too mad now. It's getting, again, not the players I've named, but some average players are going for mad fees. It's madness, people. But Upamecano, there's something in the water with France. We signed Saliba for next season. If we can get Upamecano in with Saliba, with Holding. Obviously, that's some good young sort of options to move forward with defensively, because we're at a push defensively right now, people. Be a lovely signing. He's not perfect. Again, he'll be an upgrade on our defenders, but he's not perfect. He's not a 26-year-old John Terry, Rio Ferdinand and whatnot. He's still very raw. Even if you watch France's under-21s championships, he's a lovely ball player, people, but being switched on at times, and sometimes his willingness to carry with the ball, which is a strength and would be used with how Emery likes to play out from the back, can put his teammates under pressure. If you watched France's under-21s, you saw that. I'm all for Upamecano, but it's going to take a mad fee. Now, Arsenal have hoodwinked everybody and showed us there's money in this. How much money there really is, I don't know. But I would love him, but he is going to cost a pretty penny. Apparently, we bid 55 million. Now, we don't know that to be facts. Apparently, we must pay around 70. If we can be smart and similar to the Lille deal with for Pepe, if we can structure deals and if we can structure deals in a certain sort of way and pay them this and bonus this and clause for winning this and whatnot. If we can structure it so that it's realistic, then cool. It all depends how much upfront they want for him, people, because they should be demanding top dollar, as should any club with these young sort of talents. They've just got a new manager in Julian Nagelsmann, who I'd like to think all you football fans know who he is. He did his thing at Hoffenheim. Obviously, Reece Nelson was there last season. You see what I'm saying? And he's a new manager. You'd think he'd be central to your plans of sorts. Him and Canute, two young centre-halves for this season, move forward with them, coach them and all them things. Now, Leipzig took, obviously, Emil Smith-Rowe on loan, so we obviously, I won't say know them well, but we've got dialogue with them. Could we potentially offer Emil back there? They did want him permanently. I'm not saying giving him permanently, but let him go there for another year. If he is going to go on loan anyways, why not go to a club that tried to buy him permanently? You'd be more inclined to believe that he would play more. He's also been linked with Hoffenheim. No, I've said Hoffenheim, sorry. Yeah, he has been linked with Hoffenheim, but he's also been linked with Werder Bremen and Wolfsburg was the two teams I was supposed to say. So if you're a new manager coming in, you're not going to want to sell him, so it's going to take a mad fee. Obviously, the benefit for Leipzig is their window won't be shut, so if we can hurry up with these 3 days, patch that sort of thing up, then they'd have time for a replacement. But it's a lot, people. He's a young player. People always underestimate how much a player's got to consider thinking about a move. Obviously, for me, if it's Arsenal, obviously Arsenal and United are not the clubs they used to be. But for me personally, if I'm a footballer, if it's Arsenal, United, Liverpool, obviously the big boys in Spain and all over Europe, I'm listening to what they have to say. And to be honest, the minute they call me, I'm gone, people. Long gone are them days, though. Like, there's some clubs for me, regardless of where they are, you got to go for. If they come for you, you don't say no, sort of thing, people. And to a degree, of course, Arsenal are behind, and of course he's been linked with other top clubs and whatnot, clubs better than us. But fans, we'd like to think when we come, you listen, we don't want to hear players hesitating. But at the same time, he's been playing a lot. He's a young man. What is he, 20 or so years of age, people? Not much older than that. He's been playing a lot. Does he want to... it'd be a lot in the next 3 days to consider moving to another country and all the other logistics. Now, obviously, footballers move and there's enough reasons to be tempted. But I have a duty to give you the other side of what I believe, people. So it would take a mad fee because... And they also know that Arsenal are pressed for time. Our window's shutting soon, so... You see what I'm saying? We almost have a week in hand. Hopefully it develops into more than paper talk, but to be fair, who knows, people? Like I said, Nagelsmann probably classes him as key to their side. We probably have to rattle him, and he'd probably have to dig his heels in and say, listen, coach, I know you're new, and you do this thing with the youngsters, but I want to go to Arsenal. Then something can happen. We'll have to see as well, because if you remember Raul Sanya, he said he tries to avoid deadline day, so we'd like to think within the next few days something could happen. That doesn't mean he won't be busy on deadline day, but yeah, and he also said, don't you remember, he said he had a culture shock when he came to England. He couldn't believe the TVs made a big show of deadline day and that. So maybe he brings some of that Spanish culture with him and we get some deals done tomorrow or whatnot. But who knows, I do think it's going to go down to the wire. Can Arsenal personally get 2 additions in? I'm not too sure and I don't truthfully know, people. Keeping up tasks with centre-halves though. Apparently... Renagli's agent is in London and he's speaking with George Mendes as well, people. I don't know what George Mendes is specifically doing in that deal because he's obviously, you've seen him allegedly work with Arsenal apparently and whatnot in recent weeks actually with the Pepe deal, allegedly. I don't know that to be fact. But at the same time, doesn't he have links to Wolves? Now they've been linked with him as well. Wolves clearly got this money and they've been surprising people, so you never know what could happen. Who would have thought they would have got Valero, I can't say his name, on loan from Real Madrid. Apparently, they want for Regani, they want 50 million euros. Similar to Upamecano, can we structure that? Is the money there? I do believe it is. Do you see what I'm saying, people? Who knows? I wouldn't mind either of them. Admittedly, I'd rather Upamecano. They're just, when you're just more drawn to a player, but that's probably my bias, people. But yeah, keeping up with centre halves. And one thing I don't condone, if this is to be true, people, is that we attempted to broker peace talks with Laurent Koscielny, but he snubbed the offer. Yeah, man, we tried to make him probably allegedly stay for the season and whatnot. Now, for me, Arsenal, come on, man. Come on, I know that's probably us covering our backs and trying to cover our backs in case we don't get a centre half. But come on, man, he's burnt his bridges. Koscielny, I loved Koscielny. I was one of them screaming at one point he was one of the best defenders in Europe. I'll deny to high heavens I ever saluted him now, man, because of what he's doing. Koscielny was on a serious note. He's one of the more consistent Arsenal players at that point. He was one of the best centre halves in Europe. I'm not saying the best. I'm not even saying top 5. I'm saying he was one of the best players there. And he's been a loyal, consistent servant and come a long way since his early days at the club. Because let's be honest, he wasn't cutting the mustard at that time, people. Really, literally. It took him a long time to become Koscielny or Koscielny at a previous point. But for me, obviously, if he leaves and a few years from now when the emotion is away from it, he might look at it differently. But for me, he can't be at this club anymore. You can't be trying to make peace talks. I get that we need depth and stuff, but I'd rather go with Zach Medley. Medley will probably get destroyed in the Premier League. He's a young man, but I'd rather play him at this point than Koscielny. Of course, playing Koscielny would be the sensible thing to do, but at the end of the day, you got to have principles. I'm not saying the players and whatnot will do anything, but if Koscielny stays and he's integrated, of course bygones can be bygones, but what does that say? Does that not open up a window of players subconsciously thinking what they can get away with? Because if the captain can go off on tour, refuse to go on tour, whether he wanted to go or not, what can everyone else get away with, them people? Because I'm not saying the boys will do that. I'm not saying they're not top professionals, but let's be honest, in any sort of working environment, anywhere in life, if someone smells weakness, people, whether you're doing this road nonsense or you're in a corporate office, if anyone smells the whiff of weakness, they try and take and see what they can get. You see it, people. You might be someone who's fairly new at the office, fairly young, starting your career in the corporate world. People will try and always push their work onto you and their thing and seeing what they can get away with until you say, yo, listen, that's not what's up. People will always try and take. There are individuals that might start doing that. So for me, Koscielny's got to go, people. Eliminate that possibility. Of course, we need a centre half and we need depth, especially if we don't get one. Koscielny should leave. Mustafi's been linked with a move away. If them two leave, regardless of my opinion on the two, and we don't bring another one in, we're kind of short because excluding them, what is it? It's Socrates, Chambers, Holden, who's ahead of fitness, and shout out to him for getting 60 minutes against Watford. He's not fit right now. So that's 3 of them. There's obviously Mavropanos and Melly, so there's about 5. I could be missing one. We were kind of pressed, and none of them really truthfully scream to anything to you fairly, people. Does it? So yeah, I'm keen to see what happens with him. Now it's important to remember, like I said, the European market is still open. Koscielny can still sort out his future and whatnot. So it's not he needs to get out the door. I'd like to get him out the door as soon as possible. It's completely irrelevant, but just on the basis of us being linked with Zaha, allegedly still expects to leave, and Everton obviously bidded for him, and apparently the asking price for Palace is 55 million. That leads me to believe, if we paid 70 for Pepe, one, were we really in for Zaha, or was it a smokescreen or whatever? But 2, could it have just boiled down to how much money Palace wanted up front, sort of thing? Because they're a Premier League club. Lille, no disrespect to them, they're a good team in France and whatnot, doing their thing with young players. But because of their mandate and what they're trying to do in buying and selling, were they potentially more open to, okay, they got more money, but how we were structuring it versus Palace, a Premier League team where, okay, cool, you're saying this amount of money, but we're only going to get it at this point. We don't need it. We just got 40 from Wan-Bissaka. Get out of the office. Did it boil down to a thing like that? I don't know. Apparently, there you are seeing reports from the Daily Mail that were prioritising a centre half and potentially leaving Kieran Tierney until January. That could be because of his injury. Who knows? It could be a smokescreen. I hope it's not, because I do believe we should get him into the club, and I do hope we go for both. You'd like to think the legwork is done in that regards. And saying that, you have seen Celtic bring in a left back, and they've also been linked with Rico Henry, people of Brentford, formerly of Warsaw, an England youth international left back. Don't know. Admittedly, I haven't watched it for a minute. I don't even know if he's still playing left back, but he's decent. If they sign him, it'd be a good move for him. But read between the lines, if he's still playing left back and he's a left back, they brought two in. Turney, is he going to leave now? They've got two replacements. Could that have potentially been what it boiled down to all along, people? Who knows, man? It's gonna. Hopefully we get a centre half and a left back in, people, but the longer it goes on, you're wondering, people. You're wondering, is it a loan thing or what? But did you hear that cat, people? I think cats and foxes are fighting. That's all mad. Apologies. But who knows, people? We'll see what's happening. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. Good evening. Enjoy your morning, day, afternoon, wherever you are in this world, because we got a lot of fans and subscribers and a good little community here. But on that note, people... Deluded, I'm out, man. Comment, subscribe, and do the rest. I'm out, man. It's time to eat my jerk chicken and them thing there.